That's great. So now what I'll do is I'll share my full screen with you for a second.
Okay.
So there are a couple of things that I've opened up. One obviously is the browser window, which is where we are going to look at how to use this platform, which will give you all the teaching material. In the middle, I put in a bit of a notepad just to make a bit of quick notes to note down a few things, and so that there are like a table of content and we can go through everything today. And on the right hand side, I've got this will be on your left. We have opened up the course handbook, which is what we'll use to basically discuss the course overview.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to look at 4 things in the session today. This is to take you through a bit of course overview, look at some of the optional units that you would want to study, because there are some mandatory and optional, so we need to do a bit of discussion on the optional units. I will look at showing you a demonstration of the platform. We look at how assessment and feedback is given when you submit assignments, keeping in mind it's a consultative approach, so there is no right and wrong. The qualification is not graded by OTHM, so it's a pass and a fail. You won't fail, you will always pass, because that is where the feedback comes in, the assessment and the formative feedback comes in, which allows you to improve if there are any things which are missing that can be added. And then if you have questions, feel free to ask me during the course of our discussion, and I will try my best to, obviously answer all those queries. If there are bits that I can't answer straight away, or if it requires additional information, I will send that to you on the email.
Okay.
Good stuff. Now, have you received the logins for Moodle? Have you got the logins from IT?
I have access to the Moodle yet.
Okay, you haven't got.
No, I don't think so. Not on my email.
All right, okay. Let's have a quick look.
Let me just double check, because that was a new question I was going to ask.
System emails can go into your junk and spam folder because they're created by the system. So let me just
have a very quick look.
No worries.
I got a payment confirmation email from you guys, and I got
so let me just get this. Let me check at my end, because I can.
I got a conditional offer letter, a payment instruction email. I'm just trying to figure out if I have payment received, and then there's the last one.
Let me have a quick look, and I'll get that sorted for you in a minute.
And then I got one which says registration confirmation for Hamza Khan.
All right, okay. So let me get this across.
Yeah, nothing. This is it.
All right, okay. So I've just created your login now, and you should receive an email which will come to you from IT admin. It'll display as IT admin, and that'll give you a temporary username and a password. And then I'm sending you details of your username in a second. And the username is always going to be in small letters. So it's Hamza Khan, all one word.
Okay, yeah, I've got it. Okay.
So that will give you the temporary password, and the email that I've just sent now should give you the access to, or basically the Moodle.
Okay, got it.
So let's start in the meanwhile, and what we can do is we can fill you in on some of these details in a second. Okay, let me share the screen again. Okay. So now when you've got this email, there are 2 bits that I will start up, and I'll start from the scratch so that you know exactly how to log in. Now, this particular address is what I would suggest you can bookmark it for a couple of weeks, months that you're doing the course with us, and that'll make it easier for you to, go onto the site and click of a button. So it is LMS, Learner Management System, short form LMS, Lima Mike Sierra, .ukversity.co.uk. When you're on that homepage, all you need to do is type your username in small letters here. and put
Okay.
in the temporary password email that you have received in the temporary password in the email, and click on the green button. I'm going to today
Okay.
log in as the administrator because I'm going to show you ins and out of the system. When you log in, you should see your name appearing here. Obviously, you can customize your profile, add a picture to it, write something about it by going into the profile. It will show you a profile page, and under user details on the left, click on edit profile, and that should open everything up for you to be able to upload a picture. Just drag and drop it in this box. That will upload a picture, and then you can update your profile. Now, when you're back in, you have to go back to the home page, click on the logo, or click on the home tab on the left, which is yellow in color, and that should show you one particular tile of the course that you're studying with us. So I'm now going to enroll you into the course, and once I enroll you in, you will see that course appearing in your course overview. For the first time, when you access the course for the first time, it then starts also appearing in the recently accessed courses, because here in the course overview, it starts to track your progress in terms of a progress bar, but the shortcut of that course becomes available in the recently accessed courses. You can get into the course from the menu on the top, or you can click on the tile and it'll still take you into that course. So let me quickly enroll you in. So when I click on this, and I'll add you as a participant now, and that would then give you the full access to the course material. So now if you just press refresh on your side, you should be able to see the course when you log in. Now, there are two bits that you can also do. If I just quickly log out for a second, you can set this up on your mobile phone as well as an app if you need to do so. When you're traveling, or if you're out and about and you want to look at your course, or if you're in the car and you're being driven, obviously, if you want to go through recordings, you can have the full access to the program on your mobile as well. Now, on the home page of Moodle, before you log in, there are two shortcuts or short videos which are given in terms of, one, how to set up this on your smartphone or tablet. And the second one is primarily how to reset the password, or if you forget your username, then how to reset it by using the system link which is given. So I'll just show you this short demo, which is primarily on the iPhone. Shot on the iPhone, it works on Google Android and the iPhone iOS devices, all in the same way. You will need to download this particular app, which is called the Moodle app. And this is an app designed and made by Moodle Pty Limited. So not a third-party Moodle app, but just the Moodle app, which looks exactly like this with an M and a graduation hat. Now, this particular demo is designed, to be seen on the phone, which you can do that. And as you can see, when you set this up, it'll ask you for three things. It'll ask you for the address where the Moodle is installed, which is the web address, lms.ukversity.co.uk. Once it detects the website, then it'll ask you to add your username and key in your username and your password. Once that is done, you can save it because it's your own device. And every time you want to get into the course, you will be able to just click on the icon, and that will allow you to get into the course straight away. Everything will be accessible that you access on a bigger platform like a Mac, but the only difference is the screen real estate is small. So obviously you'll be seeing things in a small way. And I think the advantage for us is, if you have it on mobile, is there are 3-4 things that we can use it for. And that is to say that sometimes when we have to send push notifications, we can send them across to you, share a calendar invite, put some deadlines in, and that can be done because the mobile devices essentially have push notifications enabled. You can configure them here, but generally anything which is up on Moodle, an announcement, a calendar update which has been done, it will be automatically pushed to your mobile, and that will make it convenient for you to get hold of pretty much any announcement or any important event or anything which is happening through this particular install on your tablet or mobile phone.
Okay, perfect.
This
I've downloaded it
30
already.
seconds to establish, something not mandatory. If you need to do so, you can do that. If not, that's perfectly okay. Now, if I get into the Moodle and get into the the course page, essentially, which is what we're going to discuss, what I want to do is look at 1 or 2 quick documents and show you how the layout of the course has been done. Now, when we look at course layout, you would generally see this as the home page of the course. There's a bit of a write-up on the course background and some useful documents which are basically useful before you start the course. Things like a course handbook, Harvard referencing, which I'm pretty sure you'll be aware of. Things like command verbs, how to make an essay, format it, draw a table of contents, basic things which we feel sometimes learners need to know about because you're doing a level 7 qualification. So it will be good to submit and get to a stage wherein you are submitting something which is meeting the criteria and going through the process of assessment in the first go. So we'll be looking at the course handbook in a second. Now, when you look at when you scroll down onto the page, you will essentially see what are called headings, and they'll be orange in color. Some of them could be hidden because these units are either repeat or they've been updated, or the IT in the background is updating some of the content. When you see these units, it does not mean that you don't have anything in it. When you click on this particular unit, it will take you into the unit and all the material will be then visible. So in some cases, if you are teaching the unit again, we normally look at a new delivery. But if I look at showing you a particular unit and I need to go back to the home page, all I do is follow the breadcrumbs on the top, go back to the previous page, and it takes me back to where this particular home page is for the course. I click on one and you would see the entire content of that unit opening up now, and your navigation will move to the bottom. Now, there's a set specific layout which has been created to basically put the content in. There are going to be, the layout is going to be the same in every unit that you see. And this is going to be a combination of 3 main types of documents. It's going to be Adobe PDF, it's going to be web files, which are going to be videos. And in some cases, you will also have what is called Microsoft documents. When we give you some templates or when we use articles or handouts, which have been created by us and are providing you summarized or concise information about a particular learning outcome that we are looking at discussing. Now, all these documents on a smartphone or a tablet will open straight away. They will not download, but generally speaking on the Mac and on the Moodle, if I click on a Word document or an Excel or a PowerPoint, then what will happen is it will download to your machine first and then open it. But on the smartphone, on those devices, it's a closed ecosystem. So no, risk of any viruses or anything like that. And the applications are associated, so they will open directly. Now, the first document and the layout here is the first document tends to be what is called a unit specification of the unit. That means the content that you need to read, the learning outcome that you need to go through, and the indicative content which is given for us to deliver and teach that unit. This is mostly used by lecturers, and we use it to create our presentation and the material that we will be looking at delivering the course to you on. Now, from this additional reading and the core textbook, all these textbooks are available. So we have got the core textbooks for the unit, but over the years, because we've delivered this course over maybe 300-400 times now, from 2015, the newest revision of the course book allows us to buy and get books which are integrated into the Moodle. So when you look at the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, in some cases, 5th and 6th documents, they're going to be traditional academic books which are recommended to study for this particular unit. And they are something which you can access from within the system. Now, these books are under Copyright Licensing Act, so obviously you can download them, but you can't use them for public circulation. You can use them. These books are in extensive detail, whereas the indicative content which is given in the book will be related to only certain chapters. Now, we have used these books to create our material in terms of the presentations. Now, generally what we do is for every unit, we have at least 2 ebooks that the learner should have access to, because when you do your assignments, we don't want you to go into Google, start copying and pasting stuff or look at blogs and other areas. The idea is to try and provide you everything from within the system so that you have a detailed information, articles, journals, books, presentations to be able to do your assignment. And the presentations that we create are basically created from these textbooks. So you're getting to learn something which is very up to date. It is not something which is recorded 10 years back or 4 years back or 1 year back. At best, you'll be looking into presentations or hearing into recordings which are maybe 12 to 16 weeks old. Some cases, if the content has not changed, it could be 6 months, but nothing beyond that time frame. Now, after this, you will have what is called the presentations. And what we do is, when I take you back to the unit, if you see this particular unit has 5 learning outcomes. So we will have covered this unit in terms of delivery and teaching in 5 lectures. So each lecture will consist of 1 learning outcome, not the entire unit in one go. So there will be 6 lectures for this. The 6th one being discussion on the assignment, how to put together the assessment, which is required in terms of doing the tasks which have been asked for, and how you put that across is also discussed towards the end of the delivery of the unit. Now, our presentations are not like the corporate presentations, which have 2 or 3 bullet points, not more than 30 words. They are very, very detailed. And the reason why they are detailed is because when you look at, learners like yourself who are working, some of them are married, they are having kids, they are spending time to do this qualification in a way which suits their lifestyle in terms of working. So you're putting the study around your work, not the work around your study. So the contents of the presentation would give you 90 to 95% of what you need to learn in the unit. And to a certain extent, the presentations are going to be directive. We are going to have presentations which are going to look at directly talking about the assessment criteria 1.1 or 1.2, so that and it is easy for you to relate when you study. And the reason of flexible study with us is that I'm not beating around the bush like the university style lectures, that you do the lectures and then you give task offs and say, read chapter 1, do this case study and come back and we'll discuss a bit more. No, the idea here is to give you the knowledge which is required to be gained. Because we have the indicative content from the awarding body, we are going to be covering that and relating it to the tasks that we are discussing this for the purposes of delivery of teaching and learning. So all the presentations that you will look at, they'll be quite worded. There are lots of slides to go through because we don't want some of the bits to be missed out. We want them to be covered, and we want them to be covered in detail so that you're able to follow everything. When you read our presentation, you've got 95% of the gist of knowledge required for study for that particular learning outcome. Is that okay? So they will be quite worded. They'll be a bit directive. They'll relate to, what are the assessment criteria we need to cover. And if you watch the recorded sessions, these sessions are audiovisual live recordings. They vary anywhere between 30-35 minutes to an hour, 20 minutes. Reason being, depending on sometimes when we are delivering. So sometimes when these lessons are being delivered, what will happen is if there are a number of learners and question answer sessions are happening, then obviously all of that is being captured and recorded. And that is why these recordings will also give you the exact details of what you need to go through in the presentation and through the indicative content. We are not reading the slides in the presentation. The person who's delivering is talking to you about the core frameworks, the core concepts, the key concepts, and also talking about delivering through examples to make you understand what is being covered in that particular assessment criteria or in that learning outcome. So they will be detailed. And what I would suggest when I normally give you a study plan would be to start looking into and listening to these recorded sessions, because they will give you the full idea in terms of what the unit requires to be covered. And they are essentially refreshed every 12 to 16 weeks.
Okay.
So towards the end, there is going to be, so we follow LO1. In some units, there are 3, in some there are 5, in some there are 4. Most of the units have 4 learning outcomes. After that, we have a discussion on the assignment brief, which is also recorded, and the assignment brief is uploaded, and you would be looking at submitting this assignment, which is basically a combination of this grid, which is called the grid, the LO and the AC grid, being converted into what are called tasks and activities. So in the assignment brief, in some cases, there is no scenario because the unit is too vast and too generic. You'll be able to pick up a company of your choice and a leader of your choice, and maybe start doing it by relating it to the task. But in some cases, the scenario is given by the awarding organization. Now, the beauty about OTHM is that some of the assignments follow what is called the university style assessment criteria. They give clearly the word limit and the activities that have to be presented or done to be able to present or create that evidence. So as you can see, there are 3 particular tasks in this case. First part is the business presentation, which hits all these criteria. These are the points that you have to cover. They've given you a bit of an idea that, okay, we are looking at about 10 to 15 slides or 15 to 20 slides with about 400 words as speaker notes. Second part is an essay, covers and hits all this criteria. It's about 2,500 words. And the third part is primarily a reflective essay, about 600 words, and that will look at doing a bit of critical analysis with some frameworks that you've learned in strategic management, things like change frameworks of Levin and McKinsey, and Kotter's framework of 8-step change, things like that. So your assignment will also be a very detailed but a very methodic output, which will confine to checking the knowledge that you've gained from the unit. It's not about writing pages and pages of evidence, but it is related to hitting some of the criterias and checking your knowledge on the key frameworks, concepts, and showing a bit of example, and then the application of that concept to check your knowledge. Now, they will always tend to be between 3,500 to 4,000 words for OTHM, most of the assignment briefs. And this, in terms of how to put it together, is also then discussed in the last session of the unit, which is normally labeled as the assignment brief discussion. So here the lecturer who's delivering this unit will actually break it down and tell you what you need to cover, how you need to cover, what kind of evidence you need to prepare, and which slides you can refer to in order for you to be able to put this together for the purposes of doing the assignment. Sometimes we will also show you what resources or what good sites you can go to glean some of the information, which then can be paraphrased and used as a part of your work for submission. Now, this kind of a layout typically follows through in all the units that you're required to study. And the navigation at the bottom. Some units will have maybe more details on it because the topics are quite generic and big. And what the awarding body has done is, over the years, they've collated a lot of things together. But in order to explain some of those things, although we do design detailed presentations, but we still need to give you some additional handouts. It's like in the case of strategic leadership, there are 18 leadership theories, but we categorize them into 5 different types: transactional, transformational, autocratic, laissez-faire, participative, democratic. But in order for us to cover this on a presentation, it might be just that we are covering 1122 slides, but there's a detailed handout that we've created which talks about just leadership. And that could be an article, a journal, which we've got, which basically presents an up-to-date.
Yeah, sounds good.
And they will then be, in some cases, under the corresponding learning outcomes. So what you'll be able to see is the same kind of layout following through in all the units that you have to study. And that would be it for Moodle. Now, there is no submission of assignment on Moodle as you would have done on Blackboard. But generally, what we want to be able to do is, before you make a final submission on the Moodle, we would want to see the draft to make sure that the draft is, or the output that you produce is meeting the criteria. And it is not a case wherein you upload it, triggers an email to the external verifier. They look at it and they say, no, this assignment has not been meant fail. So we want to avoid that.
Sure, makes sense. Yeah.
So in this case, you would look at emailing the work that you prepare to this monitored mailbox, wherein you send something over, you get an acknowledgement receipt, and then the email gets forwarded to 2 people in admin, one who checks on plagiarism. You get a report back if you're over 20%, and that report comes back to you as a PDF document in a traffic light system. So anything which is showing red needs to be paraphrased or referenced. Anything which is black is fine. Anything which is blue or green is basically already referenced or paraphrased. So you would need to look at
before I upload it on Moodle, I send it to you guys on this email.
That is correct. It'll come into us at LearnerWork. So that is where the lecturer will pick it up, mark the assignment, and obviously send you a feedback and say that you passed this unit, it is all okay. And I'll show you that in the feedback at the assessment process. But if there are bits and pieces to be changed, you'll get that as an opportunity to address it. And then when you send it back again, it is a working document. When we pass it and say, okay, yeah, now it's okay. You can, that copy that we've got on LearnerWork is the final one. We keep it in our archive to say that you passed this unit, tick off. And on your side, you can then, if you want to go to submit on Moodle as well, if you need to do so. But that is not a mandatory requirement. Now,
all right.
In the Moodle, that is it that we would want to look at when you want to look at the material, when you want to look at obviously the teaching and learning stuff, which is for recorded lectures, presentation, handouts, articles, journals, books, or sample assignments in some cases as well. Now, we have sample assignments for each of the unit, just in case, because sometimes I have learners who would who would be doing this qualification because of employment reasons, career progression, maybe a rise in position or a rise in salary. They have studied 20 years back. They want to see an assignment, a sample. We will give you a randomized sample for you to look at for that particular unit. It is normally uploaded here, and that can be switched on should you need to do so. And that would be visible with the word term as sample.
Okay.
Okay. Now, that is what is about Moodle. Any questions you have on this?
No, none so far.
Okay, that's great. Now, let's go to the first document, which is basically the course overview document here, which is the Level 7 Strategic Management and Leadership Course Handbook. Now, in this particular course handbook, it's a book which primarily I would say you should maybe look at it as a bit of a bedside reading, flick a few pages, go through it just to familiarize yourself on a couple of things. There are bits and pieces of this book that we've taken out already, and they are extracted and available in each of the individual units. So here, the advantage would be to look at a couple of pages from page 1 to 11, simply because it will give you a bit of a background about the awarding organization, the qualification, what it leads to in terms of progression, and gives you the details of the units that you're going to study. So here, this qualification was last revised in 2019. It's a one-year equivalent qualification, equivalent to the Masters in the UK, 120 credits. It is not graded yet, pass and fail only, and the entire assessment is through the coursework, which is submission of assignments, which is in the form of either case study, essays, or a PowerPoint presentation. Now, when we look at the units, it's divided into two parts. One is the mandatory units, these four. Everybody has to attempt. And then from the optionals, you need to choose two, because you have to look at 120 credits in total. So 80 come from the mandatory and 40 will come from the optional. Now, should you wish to take it into an MBA top-up, assuming at a later stage, then there are two units that we normally recommend you take as a part and parcel of this course, because then it makes it easier for universities to give you exemptions and expect you into a MBA top-up just on the basis of submitting a final dissertation. One of that unit is strategic financial management, and the other unit is strategic marketing. These two are seen as important modules that you need to have studied at level 7 in order to gain exemptions to an MBA top-up degree. There are other modules as well. And if you are not looking at doing a top-up in the next 5 years, then you can choose any of the two modules from here, which are given from the 6 which are available. And we teach all the 6 modules, not a problem. But the ones that we normally recommend to be taken are SFM, Strategic Financial Management, and Strategic Marketing. These, if you're not comfortable with finance and you don't want to take one, that's fine. Most people then end up taking Strategic Change Management, which also is closely mapped, and most universities will look at change management as also a module for the MBA top-up. And they will allow you to achieve the full diploma. Now, other requirements in terms of entry requirements you've met because you have a bachelor's degree and you are progressing to level 7, which is fine. Progression part of it leads to mostly MBA. This qualification, management, strategic management and leadership will either take you to MBA or MSc in business management. But 99.9% people will go into MBA because at some stage they are stepping into management, and this is like a de facto degree which every employer is after or wants the employee to have. So a good qualification should you wish to do so, and that will be an option available through us. Now, delivery assessment is basically just generic information. Assessment and verification is done by us. At some stage when we are putting your work for certification, an external examiner also looks at the work and the judgments that we have made and then concurs with that, and you achieve certification. Now, if you have done any other certification training and have had similar module content, because in those cases, you can also apply for what is called recognition to prior learning. So assuming I have been working in an organization and I worked in Samsung, and they have sent me to study leadership management in Samsung Learning Global Academy, and I have got a certification for that. It was a 3-month course, and I was, for example, at the end of the course, I got that certificate. Now, if I have that certificate and the content, indicative content which I've studied, you can send that over to us. We can map it with the strategic leadership unit, or the strategic management unit and see if that content is meeting the criteria given in OTHM. If it is, then you get an exemption. You don't need to submit an assignment. You don't need to study that unit. And we'll confirm that as a confirmed exemption, which will come to you from the quality manager. And that is what will allow you to not need to do the work on that unit, assignment on that unit. But when you get a final certification, that final certification will have this unit showing as 20 credits. It does not mean that you will get exemption when the certification happens. It means exemption when you're studying that unit because you've done the content before. And that is what is covered under what is called recognition to prior learning here. So it can only be given if we get to see evidence or some sort of a certification wherein we are able to map to say that, yes, the learner in this case has got prior qualification or prior knowledge and skills and would not need to study that unit. Now, anything beyond page 7 or 8, essentially, are what are called indicative, which are called the unit specifications, and they have what is called the indicative content. So essentially, this bit we have already extracted out from the book, and this is uploaded into individual units for you to be able to see rather than go through the handbook here again. So they are non-duplicating. It's the same material that we have taken out from the PDF and put into individual units that you will be studying. So it might be good for you to skim through this just for the idea and for sake of going through it, but it is something which will be discussed when you go through the units, and when you are studying each of the units, you will probably see this as the first document on Moodle in that unit section. Is that okay?
Sounds good, yeah.
There is no exams in this course, and obviously when you complete the assignment, you get a pass. We will obviously give you a confirmation of that, and once you get this confirmation, you can keep it for your purposes for future archiving and also as a record, and then that is later then used for the purposes of certification with the external examiner. Now, if I give you an example of, say, a certification which maybe one of the learners has achieved, it will look like this. If you give me a second. So I'll try and show you a certification which has happened. And that would allow you to see how your final diploma and the transcript would actually look like. Now, in terms of the in terms of OTHM, what you will generally see is that from February this year, they have actually stopped issuing what is called a hard copy of the certification. The reason they've done it is because most employers now want to do verification. If you're applying for VES, it'll be primarily for the purposes of verification of the qualification, and some of these things can be done quite easily currently because they are available electronically. So, and the other reasons why they've stopped doing it, they've published it on their website. The reason why they've done it is that they would basically be trying to avoid forgery, and in some cases looking at doing away with the places where things can be copied or reused or misused. So that is the reason why they have started to do that. Now, when you get your transcript,
if you
the copy, go on. Sorry.
If you need a hard copy, would it be possible? I don't know if I'd need it for my immigration process or not yet, but if they do, would that be possible to arrange or no?
Yes, it will be possible. So let me show you. Basically, what will happen is when you get the certification and it is done, you will get an automated email from OTHM that will give you a username and a login with the organization, which is the awarding body, and that will remain for life. Now, as a center, we have that login, and using that login, you'll be able to order a certificate, you'll be able to download your transcript, you'll be able to verify it, you'll be able to create a link of it, send it off to an employer. They will be able to send this using this particular link to WES for verification. So all that will happen pretty much, through the portal itself. And this login email you will get when your certification is released. So this is something that you need to keep in place safely. It will be for life. And you will have, if you want to do another qualification, you will basically enroll with the center, but the OTHM logins will be given and any such certification will be added, essentially to your records, which are on on this portal. Now, if I say, give you an example
quick question here.
Go ahead.
How long does it take once you've ordered your certificate to reach your destination?
If
And
you order a
B, is
certificate,
there
it will take about, I think, 5 to 7 working days in which they will be
yeah,
able to provide the certificate to you, print copy of the certificate.
sorry?
5 to 7 working days.
And is there an additional cost to it then?
There is an additional cost, I think £35 for ordering a print. So this is how the e-certificate is. It's an electronic document which has a number to it. Now, when you ask for WES verification, essentially you'll fill up a form on the OTHM website. I'll explain that to you. So e-certification, and this is given on the top, as you can see. And when you apply for verification, you'll be basically either emailing customer service or basically filling up a form here. And once OTHM gets this as an inquiry, what they will then do is basically send an electronic verification to WES, which once confirmed will reflect into your WES login. That yes, this certification has been verified and has been awarded, say, 100 points or 120 points for level 7, depending, because in your case, you have a bachelor's. On top of it, you'll be applying for these to get more points.
Okay.
Is that okay? Now, this is how your certification will be issued. It is a 2-page, award. First page is basically your diploma with your name, your qualification when it is awarded. And the second page is going to be your transcript, which will say the units, the credits, and what you've actually achieved.
Okay.
Is that okay? And this electronic document has a tagging and a number and a barcode, which I think WES is now from, I think, sometime, I think between mid of last year, we've had maybe 150 odd learners which have requested for this as a verification. But in the, I think, mid of last year, all the verifications have now become electronic with WES as well. So that process has become a bit quicker and bit faster because of the fact that now they are able to accept electronic verification through the portal. And because it is happening, I think most universities, as you would be aware, like they've signed up to this initiative, which is called the Higher Education Digital Database in the UK. So all verifications for university degrees, currently university does not print a degree, stamp it, and then send it to WES or an employer for verification. When you fill the form, they will electronically verify to say that, yes, this is the case, and that would be good enough. So same system has been adopted, same advanced system has been adopted by OTHM, and they followed the university to ensure that, all the students which have had certifications, from 2016, and if they need it for multiple reasons like immigration, job employment, employer verifying the qualification, things like that, they are all now done through the system. And this was started on the 1st of February this year. Is that okay? So this is just for knowledge and information for now, but obviously at a later stage, what will happen is you will receive an automatic login from OTHM, and that will allow you to maintain everything. I think here the bit is things like if you need a graduation invite, you want to come over, like universities add a lot of things like memorabilia, they add a lot of resources which you can access. So what OTHM is leaping into is creating that relationship with the learner to say that once you do a qualification with us, you will also get additional things and resources from us from a point in time. So they've taken the first step towards certification, let's put it this way. And at a later stage, they'll be adding things like access to journals or articles or books or important things like guest seminars. And I think that is the whole idea. I'm not sure what they are trying to do, but what I can think in terms of their journey is trying to expand into this particular forum wherein they are trying to closely mimic what universities do, and you have a relationship with the learner for life rather than just doing the qualification and thank you, tata, bye-bye. Do you follow that?
Okay, understood.
So I think this is the first step in that direction. And I think this is the only awarding body that I know of that we work with Pearson, ATHE, NCFE, CASH, IFA, a lot of them. But this is the only awarding body which has this particular system that they put into place so far. And I think a lot of them are following suit, including Pearson, which has got lagged behind because they should have been the first one to do it because they're very well respected and, obviously. But it's a positive step. So you're with an awarding body which is making strides in leaps and bounds and obviously doing the right things which are required to create that relationship with the learners directly. Now, what I want to do is also quickly show you the process of assessment and feedback. Now, generally speaking, what tends to happen is that at any given stage, you would submit the assignment to us on email. Once that assignment comes in, at some stage, what we'll do is in the 3 to 5 working days, we'll mark that assignment, and that marking of the assignment will take the form of annotation of comments. And these annotation of comments essentially would mean that you will get to see, remarks being put on the document, and they would assess and give you feedback to say, this is right, this is not right, or this is what you need to change. And they will be quite detailed. So if we need to make sure that your achievement is secure, we need to make sure that the external verifier also sees that the work being produced by the learner is meeting all the criteria and it's not borderline. So as you would see, there will be a commenting on the right-hand side, identification to say that you met the task criteria, and that would be something that will go back to you. So you have it for your records as well.
Understood. Understood.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Now, in this case, the learner has produced an assignment which is about 5,000 words, but minus the table of content and the, bibliography. I think it's roundabout in that same criteria of 4,000 words. And as you can see, the learner has met the assignment and the criteria of the assignment in the first instance itself. Now, once that has happened, apart from the commenting, we will also give you something in record, which is something that you can keep for your records, and that would be called the summative feedback. So this is formative feedback. The summative feedback would tend to be another document which will come along with the assignment, and that would essentially be looking at giving you what is called the, let me put it this way, and that would be another PDF document that will allow you to see how your achievement has been essentially done. And that will be this sheet. So this will say why you passed that particular criteria, and commenting is there. And towards the end, a feedback from the tutor is given to say, that's it, and you've done a good assignment, and it meets all the criteria with date and signature. And this is then put forward to the external examiner. So there are 3 documents that we will show to the external examiner, which will verify and confirm your achievement. So one of the documents is going to be this front cover sheet. The second document is going to be the formative feedback document. And the third document that we generally provide is, in some cases, the report on plagiarism. So generally, we will scan the documents and we will see that, the documents are fine. But in some cases, if we do not find the document to meet the criteria, then what we will do is basically, show and give the copy of the report. Because if they come back and they say, oh no, I do see some copies, then what we will do is provide them a copy of the report, and anything less than 20% is acceptable. Anything less than or more than 20% would not be acceptable. So sometimes when we look at assignments and they are copies or they have been copied, then you will get this report back. And this report that you return or you get back will allow you to see where the contents have been copied without being referenced or being paraphrased. And you use this document then to paraphrase it and resubmit it back so that the copy of the similarity reduces to below 20%. And this report, universities is not shared, but we will share it with the learner, because we are looking at ensuring the learner is able to meet the criteria, is able to pass the assignment. And the idea there is to make it easier. So we will send a copy of this report to you so that you can see exactly what areas you have copied, and you should be able to then paraphrase and submit it back to close that particular unit. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Now, these 3 documents would allow us to go back and forth. Now, only one thing which I would mention here, just opening that particular document again, just mentioning one bit, is that sometimes if the work maybe does not meet the criteria, so what we do is we give you a feedback here, and what you would do is then look at the feedback and add content to it. So for example, if this was a paragraph that you've added to the assignment basis the feedback given by the lecturer, so what you do is you highlight that in yellow. So next time when you send the same document back to us, it is going to be easier for us to quickly look at what has been added and whether you've addressed the comment that we've given, and is that okay now in meeting the criteria. So any big changes that you do in the document, even if you added say 2 lines here, you would just highlight that as yellow, and makes it easier and life bit easier for the assessor.
Understood.
Now, last but not the least, when we look at, say, for example, who are the key people which will be in touch with you. So just looking at a brief on the course overview in the units, a bit on Moodle demonstration, the platform, how assessment and feedback as a process works. And then you have any questions, feel free to ask me, but I'll quickly go into what are the key people that will be in touch with you from time to time. Now, there's a person in my team which is called Marvis, and he's the course coordinator. So if you need any sessions, for example, assuming you've started with I'll give you a study plan, and you've started with studying of the strategic leadership unit. You've gone through all the presentations, but there are some doubts that you still have. And doubts could be, okay, how do I apply the, say, for example, leadership models, or which is the most current leadership model? You have a few doubts around whatever you have studied and listened into. What you do is you send him an email on coordinator, and you give him two dates and times. So what he will do is then arrange a one-on-one session with the tutor who's delivering that unit. And the session would be a Zoom session like we're doing. That session could be 5 minutes long, 15 minutes long, 50 minutes long, 5 hours long, does not matter. But the idea would be to thoroughly discuss any gap areas, thoroughly discuss any content which has not been understood, and then should help you to progress and move on and complete that unit. So if you need any tutorials which are to be done on a one-on-one basis, then this will come across to Marvis. Okay. Now, the second person that you will have sometimes be sending emails to is IT admin. Assuming you are reading a presentation, you're listening to a recording, maybe you find that the presentation is maybe not formatted well, or is a bit outdated, or maybe you have some issues with recording, you've forgotten your password, then you could also send an email to one of my colleagues, and he is Victor. Victor is the IT person, like in the university, you have an IT administrator, so he's the IT administrator, and he would be able to, if you say, for example, you say, okay, I've looked at this book and I do feel I need another book on strategic leadership. So when you send an email to him, within a couple of minutes, he'll upload another book for you. That book will remain, but he'll upload another book for you, which is from the core textbook or one of the recommended books for study. Is that okay?
Sounds good.
If you need any resource, if you're struggling with logging into the system, if you're struggling with any recording, anything of that sort, you send an email to IT and they will respond to you in a couple of minutes with the margins of error between the weekends, but you'll get a response pretty much within the 2 hours on a weekday, and that would give you or solve your problem and help you move ahead.
Sure.
Okay.
Great.
Now, let's look at tutors. There are 4 tutors on this program, and all the tutors have done a master's degree. All the tutors have a bachelor's degree, and they have studied within the UK. None of my staff is outside the UK. Okay, and some of them are working with different universities, and we do guest lecturing and teaching in universities as well. And apart from that, what you will generally see is that they have been with me for 7-8 years in the college. And the other bit is that they have a corresponding degree, or they teach this particular topic for the last 15 years. Now, in this course, there are 4 tutors, including myself. So I teach strategic HRM. Sanjay would teach research. Anjum would teach marketing and financial management. Reena would teach strategic management, which sometimes I teach or she would teach, and in some cases, strategic leadership. So all of us will teach units that we are kind of fountain of knowledge of. And we've been teaching this from 2014 or 2009 in my case, Anjum's 2009, Sanjay, maybe 2014. And all of us have a lot of experience in delivery of this particular course. Now, the email to reach out to tutors, because there are multiple tutors across your course, there is one mailbox which is shared amongst us, and this is a monitored mailbox. So when you send an email to LearnerWork with a query, with a question, with your submission of assignment, you know, there is some bit of configuring that we've done in the background with IT. So if it's a unit with Sanjay is teaching, it'll email to Sanjay straight away. If it's HRM, it'll come to me. If it's finance, it'll go to Anjum. If it's, say, for example, something else, it'll go to somebody who's teaching that unit. And they will respond back to you in a couple of minutes. Generally, it is a couple of minutes. In some cases, maybe an hour, but normally the response time you would see is very quick. So we don't wait on that you send an email and I'll respond to you in 2 days or 1 day. It'll be 1 or 2, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours maximum.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
apart from this, there are one or two other key people which might not get in touch with you, but you might be wanting to know them. So Amrita, she's the registrar. She's the one that will put together your certification and she coordinates all the assessments. So what tends to happen is when you're 80% complete in your course, that means you've done 5 out of 6 units, or you've completed 4 out of 6 units. What will happen is she will start putting your certification together so that once you've completed, you're not waiting for a month's time or 4 weeks or 5 weeks time or 2 weeks time to be able to get hold of your certification. You'll get an email from us to say, we put your work forward and you should get your results. So expect an email to come from OTHM and the center management, which will give you an access to your certificate straight away.
Okay.
Is that okay? So she is generally going to be looking after your assessments, coordination with the tutors, and finally your certification. And she is, one person. You might not speak to her or maybe get too many emails from her, but occasionally she will drop you an email to say, okay, you're closer to this. And, she handles your registration. You get a confirmation from our base once that has been done. But she does the bit in terms of what a registrar would do in the university within the college. I think you paid your piece in full. So we've got 2 people in the team, Upen, who's the financial controller, and ATHE, who's the accounts assistant and legal. So if there are any things related to an invoice, if you need anything, in the case of OTHM, we've generally seen that sometimes learners would order the diploma through us rather than ordering directly. But because there is a cost associated to it, I think it's best that you order directly. Sometimes in the previous years before COVID, and they had this system, most of the verification went through the center or WES and for certificate ordering and all that. But now that they have the system functional, operational fully, they are mostly being done directly by the student and the awarding body rather than we having any play in the middle. So you might not get any further emails from either Upen or ATHE, but they are also a part and parcel of the organization. Now, there are other people which work in the background. So I have a colleague called Phil. He's the quality manager. He would be basically looking at signing off your work at some stage. His name is Phil Hodgkinson, and he's the QA or quality manager. So when your work is put forward to, the awarding organization, there is a document that he signs off and he checks, the assessment which has been done. Has it been done correctly by the assessor or not? And this document is required before any certification happens. So this coordination is between Amrita and Phil, but generally this is what you will not get to see, but this is something which also happens in the background because the report needs to be signed off to say the learner has completed all the units. If there is an APL or RPL that we do, recognition to prior learning, you'll get a mail from Phil directly, which will say, okay, we agree to this particular assessment and you've been given exemption, and that'll be done in writing by the quality manager. Is that okay?
All right. Sounds good.
Good stuff. And apart from that, if there are any issues, anything, I'm the owner and the director and also the principal at the, at the organization. So if you need to reach out to me, if you need to reach out to anybody in UK Versity, it is the first name only.
Okay, perfect.
Followed by UK Versity.
Okay.
So if you need to write to me, it's Raman. If you need to write to Amrita, it's AMRITA. If you need to write to Phil, it's Phil. If you need to write to Victor, it's Victor. If you need to write to Mavis,
sounds good.
So forth. So reaching us will not be difficult. We are going to look at 3 ways of communicating with you. The reason of this is WhatsApp has become our part of life, part of business. So we'll add you to the OTHM WhatsApp group. This is not a group wherein we've shared jokes or funny things. It is only for urgent announcements, dropping the Zoom meeting codes, or maybe a reminder of something, but only urgent announcements primarily. It'll be through emails and it'll be through phone. So getting hold of us.
Do you want my WhatsApp number?
Yeah, that's fine.
Do you want me to?
Do you want me
dictate it, or do you want me to send you an email with it?
Do you have a different WhatsApp number than your mobile that you've given on the form?
No, I shouldn't know. No. But it's got a country code, +92.
Yeah, +91. Yeah, that's fine. I did text you earlier on your WhatsApp, isn't it? I texted you earlier on your WhatsApp.
I don't think
not today, not today, but maybe earlier when you had got the form. Did you get a text from me?
No, I didn't.
All right, okay, no worries.
I'll just dictate to you right now if you want to take it, and you can just add it in.
One second. So your number ends in 024. plus 92
yeah.
304
Yeah.
6636.
663624. Yeah.
That's fine. We have got a CRM in place, a very advanced student management system, which is HubSpot. So we see everything, everybody sees everything. So if I send you an email,
Okay.
it will be visible to everybody. We'll never have a situation wherein you call us up or you ring us up and you say, okay, I'm Hamza Khan, this is my registration number. No, nothing like that, sir. Just say I'm Hamza, I'm doing this course, and we see everything that you've seen. So people will start from that stage. They will not go into details of where you're calling from, why you're calling, and all that. Nothing that's what happens. And we see everything.
And how can I access the recording for this session?
Yes, you will get the copy of this after the session.
In an email?
In an email, yes. You'll get a link, which will be a Zoom link that we'll share with you, and you'll be able to download that recording or maybe listen into it, whatever you want to do, that link will be shared with you.
Perfect. All right. That makes sense.
Good stuff. So any other bits and pieces in terms of any questions that you think you want to ask me about the course, how it will be delivered? Now, in terms, one last thing before I forget. So in terms of a study plan, now what I would do is basically I would start looking at maybe a particular unit, which you would need to start with because of the fact that some part of it is to look into listening into recordings. But what I want to do is give you a plan wherein you are able to start off with the easy unit, then go to something wherein you would probably need some sessions, and in some cases prefer to attend live lectures. Now, if we do any live lectures, they generally tend to happen on the weekends for this particular course. They are on Saturdays and Sundays, and they would generally be either at 10 a.m. in the morning or 1 p.m. in the afternoon or 2 p.m. in the afternoon UK time. Considering I think there's a difference of 5 hours now between us and Pakistan. So I think we are looking at maybe either the early part of the day or maybe towards the later part of the day, so that you're not somewhere waiting in the middle in the house, during the whole course of the day to attend the lecture. So generally we try and do it early mornings, or we try and do it maybe late afternoon, so that if you've planned something for the day, you are able to go ahead and complete most of the things without having to wait for the lecture to be delivered. Now, if you miss out on any session, all the sessions are recorded.
Okay.
All the sessions are recorded. So if you miss out on any session, and should you need to, look at asking for a copy of the recording, then in that case, what I would suggest is if you drop an email to Marvis, and he will be able to send you a copy of the recording.
Okay.
Okay. Presentations and most of the material is always up on Moodle, but copy of the recordings, sometimes we do not put it on because system keeps expanding in terms of megabytes and gigabytes. So obviously each recording is about a gigabyte each. So the idea is we will normally send you a Dropbox or a Zoom link, which primarily will come from the cloud, and it'll be easier for you to listen into the recording because recordings are audio visual. So you don't need to look at the presentation. You're sitting back, relaxing and hearing it.
Got it. Okay.
Good stuff. So study plan wise, I would say start with the strategic leadership unit, just as an first, because that is an interesting topic. We can, on the assignment brief, there are leaders like Satya Nadella, Elon Musk, Tim Cook, which are people that we can relate to, somebody in Google or somebody in very well-known organization like Zara. And there is plenty of information available. It is a unit in which you have to create 3 parts of it. One, in terms of looking at the leadership style, relating it to the theory, then looking at talking about the person, a bit about their background and how they're leading the organization. And the last bit tends to be a bit of a reflective practice on the theories. So this is the most easiest unit to do, considering we get to hear about the people that we are talking about or writing about on a daily basis, sometimes in the news, sometimes in magazines and things like that. The second unit that you're going to be looking at is strategic marketing. Again, this is something which is a topic of our interest. We see marketing happening every day. So things like 4 P's of marketing, positioning, marketing plan, communication plan. These are things that we have dealt with. And I think it is something which is going to be easier to complete this unit because although these units are quite detailed, but the assignment briefs, when you look at, are asking you to do very specific tasks, which we are aware of because of our common knowledge and things that we see on a day-to-day basis. Okay. Then I would look at the HRM unit. And then I would say you could also parallelly look at the research project, because this is a research proposal that you have to draw of 2,500 words. It's not the project that you're going to do. So it is the proposal that you're going to draw covering the 6 chapters: introduction, aim, objective, rationale, background of research, a couple of 100 words, 200-300. Literature review, identifying the sources and the parameters that you would review. Maybe if you want to put in a conceptual framework, hypothesis testing, just the mentions of it in maybe 100-150 words. Then you go to research methodology, 100 to 200 words. And then we go into data analysis, how you would collect the data, what kind of analysis would you do, how would you draw the conclusions, put the recommendations in, then look at Gantt chart, the timeline for the project, 4 to 6 weeks. And then towards the end, you're basically drawing conclusions, ethical considerations, and any constraints that you would have while carrying out the research. And they are a part and parcel of your proposal. So it's like an overview of how a research project would be, should you carry out a detailed research study. So here it is only a proposal, 2,500 words. In fact, if I put it this way, this is the simplest assignment to do. So you could take out or download any research report, and basically just populate that in the form of a research proposal, and that would help accomplish your assignment.
Okay.
And then,
sorry, how much longer is this going to be? I've just got I'm mindful of the time.
Probably looking at maximum 12 weeks because you're on a fast track. As per
I meant this session. This session.
This is finished. We're more or less done.
Okay, perfect.
We're more or less done. So I think the order of flow of the units is primarily going to be these that I would normally suggest for you to study. And then when we do live lectures, what we're going to do is share the schedule with you a week in advance. So you have all the Zoom codes, what days and times the sessions are happening, and you could join those sessions should you wish to do so. And then obviously you have the opportunity to interact with the lecturer and some of the other learners also.
Okay.
Good stuff. So if there are any questions,
sounds good.
At this stage, great. If not, then thank you so much for attending. And what I will do is in a couple of minutes, once the recording becomes available, we'll get that link across to you, and then we will be speaking to you in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. Could you also share this the notepad thing you've taken down? Just put in the email body, maybe.
Absolutely fine. That's all going to be in the recording in any case. So that's why this is recorded.
All right. Perfect.
No
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Hamza. Thanks for joining. Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a nice day.